Shabbat Shalom, everybody. This is Rabbi Shmuel with you with this week's 10-Minute Torah. And this week we are going to be looking at Parashat Pekudei. And this, of course, is for our year 5784, and that is the year of creation. So what do we mean when we say year of creation? Some people will suggest that the earth does this mean, or that we're suggesting that the earth is 5,784 years old, and therefore began in the year 4004 BCE, or BC if you prefer. No. As a conservative Jew, we like to mesh religion, Judaism, and reality. So to say that the earth is less than 6,000 years old when we found fossils that go back millions of years is absurd. It's say, what are you saying? Let me suggest a better point of view, okay, a better point of reference. The civilized world, our human world, is about 5,784 years old, starting with the beginning of Adam. Now, before that, what do we have? We have 6 days of creation. And were those actual days, 24-hour days? Well, if you were born on Mars, then your day is 22 and a half years, right? If you were born on, Saturn or Neptune, your day is, 4 or 5 hours? Because they rotate pretty quick. No, the word day can have various meanings. One of the meanings is that it's the 23-hour and 56-minute period that it takes the earth to rotate on its axis. So it's pointing at the same line of sight of the sun as it did before. Or it could mean daylight, right? Day and night. Day is the time when we have light, the sun, and night is the time when we don't have the sun, when it's kind of dark and all you see the moon and the stars. So a day, let me suggest, can also mean like an epoch or a period of time, a very general time. Could the first day be when I suggest it's the Big Bang, right? It's God said, let there be light, and bam, there was light, or I say there were photons. That might have been just a couple of microseconds. And then as the void and the firmament started to form, that could have been billions of years. So a day is kind of an epoch. So 5,784 years, not really buying that. All right, one more item I'd like to discuss. Understand that this month is kind of Women's Month. And a few of us went and we posted a video that's going to the UN, because the UN is now acknowledging that the Israelis and other folks that were taken hostage were brutally sexually violated. And when you have organizations like the Me Too movement, Women Against Rape, and such, to ignore that fact that the Hamas terrorists abused women sexually, it's like a double standard. So we have to acknowledge that. We have to acknowledge, and we have to ask for a response. Now, in Judaism, women are not necessarily considered equal, but let's say separate but equal. I know that's kind of an inflammatory phrase, but let me explain what I mean. In the Torah, men and women have various functions. All right, men are physically stronger. They go out, they work the field, they deal with the cattle and the herds, because that's what they do. We do a lot of the building, et cetera, et cetera. Women are on a higher spiritual plane. And that is one of the reasons why women are absolved from having to observe. I want to phrase that correctly. Having to observe positive time-based commandments like praying, putting on tefillin, because they're busy taking care of the household. Why are women relegated, if you prefer that word, to taking care of the household? Because women are better suited. They are not just cleaning up after the kids and cooking the meal, but they're instilling social values into the kids, because they're not bound by the same, let's call them passions, that men have, right? Why is it that women are getting asked out on dates and men are the ones asking? Because men are just more assertive, that we're more inclined, to take that first step. That's who we are. It's why men like sports. Women, yes, they like sports, but in a different way than men. And I say different. Okay. So I want to clear that up. Now, having said that, let's look at Parashat Pekudei. This is the last of the 4.5 parshiot, the 4.5 portions that discussed the creation, the building, and the making of the tabernacle and all the things that go with it, the outside curtains, the inside curtains, the planks that would be put together to form the structure, the foundation, the artifacts that went into it, the 2 altars, the incense and the sacrificial altar, the menorah, the showbread, and the rack and the table, the laver, okay? All these things. And then there's the weaving of the clothes for the high priest and the priests. And yes, women took part in that. Everybody did. People contributed, both men and women. They contributed the bounty that they had been paid by the Egyptians for the somewhat 118 years of slavery where they didn't get paid, back pay, amounted to a lot. What can I say? I guess they didn't charge interest back then, but it would have been a lot more. And they contributed the gold and the silver and the bronze and their fabrics and their linen in order to make this. Think about the job that this took. And again, women and men equally participated in not necessarily the physical construction, but some of the weaving and the donating. Now, if we were going to build a similar structure today, we go down to Home Depot or Lowe's or Tractor Supply or some of the other Ace Hardware stores. We'd get a bunch of tools, we'd get some nails, we'd get a couple of saws, we'd get some electric stuff, an electric buzzsaw, plug it in, and bam, you've got planks. They didn't have that. It doesn't say in these portions what they use for tools, just that these 2 guys, Bezalel from Judah and Aholiab from Dan were the master craftsmen, the contractors, the major contractors, if you will, that oversaw and planned the work. And the things that they did was incredible. I mean, to put together these planks and to molten the metal so that the poles went through these little loops that held the planks in place, to beat the gold for the altars. You had gold, then you had wood, then you had gold. It was quite a feat. And yes, I understand that there are some people say there was no first temple. It's just a big myth, or maybe it was just a big stone or mud hut. I got to tell you, folks, I don't buy it. There's just way too much detail in the Torah to really just dismiss it as being a myth. That's just my feeling. Notice also all the space. I mean, 4.5 parshas. The 10 Commandments get 1 aliyah. The Song of the Sea is, well, it's a large, but it's an aliyah. That's it. But the commands and then the carrying out the instructions to build, 4.5 parshas. What does that tell you of the importance of having this venue, a place where God would come, Hashem, and put his countenance there, put his glory, his cloud of glory. It's a place to meet. Again, we are physical beings. It is tough to conceive of a God or the God, because God is God. Everybody's God, not just the Jewish God. God is everybody's God, whether you believe in God or not. It's everybody. God is everybody's. Hashem is everybody's God, the one true God. Okay, but God is beyond the spiritual too, and the physical realm. So how do we connect with Hashem? We have to connect with Hashem on our level, on our physical level. Prayer is one way we connect, with our hearts, with our minds, with our souls. And by having this Mishkan, this tabernacle, in order to actually have a place, and to do things that represent the worship, it's important for physical beings like us to do that. Okay, so with that, we come to the end of the second book, Exodus or Shemot. Started out discussing the names of the people that went down to Egypt in both climate and morality. And it is also, we call it Exodus in English because that's when our ancestors left Egypt. They exited. Exodus is out of Egypt. And when we come to the end of a book, we say Chazak, Chazak, Venit Chazek. The warriors cry, strength, strength, and let us be strong. In this day and age, we Jews need to be strong. Some people suggest don't hide your Jewishness. Of course, if you're in a place where you're getting threatened physically, then you need to take care. That trumps everything. Pekuah hanefesh, always mind your health first. Okay, but for the rest of us, be Jewish. Go to services. Revel in this beautiful 4,000-year philosophy and culture. Shabbat shalom.